I don't know if you knew this, but aw snap is actually my cue to come on. So I want to thank Randy for, we rehearsed this all week. And so thanks, man. I couldn't do it without you. Hello, David. Hello, Jeff. Hello, Michael. Hello, Valentine. Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. I don't know about where you live, but it is cold here in New York. I think according to my Apple Watch, it is actually 0 this morning. It got up to a balmy 25. But we've experienced, speaking of snap, Randy, we've experienced a bit of a cold snap. But you know where it's warm? Right here on Logic. That's right. I'm feeling it. I know you're all feeling it. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, young and old, we are in the presence of royalty today, okay? Because the very first One Frame of White winner, Greg Paul Malone, has not only joined today, specifically because he was so excited to see Abel's presentation, but you know, I mean, look at the wordsmithing, the creativity, the dual use of howdy as a greeting is just. I mean, I'm so inspired after the show today. I'm going to go write a play. We've now turned to a very like kind of introspective, a very focused. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Logic Live. It's Sunday. Thank you very much for joining us. And now. Here we are. We're here, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, it's Logic Live. I have a fantastic presentation for you today. We're going to dive right in with our slideshow. This episode of Logic Live is brought to you by Synesys.io. Solutions development, integration, and supporting flame artists since 1997. Also want to thank our friends at AJA for sponsoring Logic Live and for being a huge supporter of the Flame community around the world. Do y'all need tech support? Well, call Jack Horrocks. Jack at flametech.com.au. Jack is there for all of your technical needs, Flame, networking, storage, custom builds. Reach out to Jack. He's there for you. And if anyone's in the market for some plugins from our friends at Boris FX, remember to use the Logic.tv discount code and save 15% on any Boris FX product, standalone or subscription when you use the code Logic-15 at checkout. While you're checking things out, check out the Logic merch store. It's cold, so we've got a whole lineup of winter hats. We've got hoodies, we've got zip-up hoodies, we've got pullover hoodies, everything you need to stay warm this winter. Like I said, we've got hats. They come in black and white. They come in ski hat and 2 different varieties of baseball hat. There's no excuse to not look your best when you're working the flame with the Logic merch store. I want to give a shout out to all of our patrons on Patreon. We hit another milestone. We're up to 109 patrons. I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting what Randy and I are doing here at Logic. We could not do it without you. If you'd like to support what we're doing for as little as $5 a month and get yourself some access to exclusive content like the Patrons Q&A we do after the show, some exclusive discounts and some great merch, head on over to patreon.com/logictv and become a patron today. Wanted to also remind everyone that our latest round of Logic Hive Minds starts today. Hive Minds are small 4 to 6 person groups that meet weekly over the course of 8 weeks. You'll be paired with peers and a mentor that will provide you with the support, experience, knowledge, network, and accountability you need to help you on your journey. If there's any place you'd like to go, where you'd like to see yourself in 2022, Logic Hive Mind might be for you. Go to logic.tv/hivemind. Sign up again. The new session starts today. Randy, I see you there saying dangerously close to 124. Let me give you 1024 rather. Let me give you the updated stats on the forum. Now, this is since the forum started, ladies and gentlemen. We are at 1,020 users. Y'all got a cousin. Make Randy happy and get us over the 10-bit mark. We've had 1.5 million page views since we started this thing. Almost 18,000 posts. And 247 users on our Discord server. Discord was extremely active this week. If you haven't checked it out yet, please join the conversation. Go to logic.tv or forum.logic.tv. Click the Discord link and join the real-time conversation. We're also doing, we can do real-time chat. We can do real-time screen sharing. I had my screen up. I was sharing the flame last week, just kind of letting people chime in as I was working. So be a part of the conversation at Discord. We introduced 3 new classes for Logic Academy in the fall. The first one was a 2-parter on the image node from our good friend Jeff Kyle. Part 1 was an overview of the image node. Part 2 had workflows specifically for beauty and for color grading, and then some extra tips. Jeff is really, really good at showing you like the bumps that you're going to hit on your journey and learning this new workflow and what's the best way forward. We also have 2 videos from our dear friend Randy McEntee. The first one is 8-Minute Aces, where he took all of color management and condensed it into one 8-minute video that answers all of your questions. It's a must-see if you're either dipping your toe in or jumping in blind into the world of color management. Randy also did a video on NDI. NDI is a way to stream your computer anywhere in the world. So Randy showed you the best way to optimize your flame and get the most out of the NDI workflow. How to stream not just to the web, but to iOS devices, and also how to deal with some of the gotchas with audio routing and things like that. So definitely check these out. They're all available for free at logic.tv. I want to thank Autodesk for sponsoring these. And we have a new crop in production right now that will hopefully get out to you soon. Speaking of flame and content, just want to give another shout out to our friend Grant K. He has been working his tail off on a flame fundamentals course or content for people who are new to flame. If you have a chance, check it out. I was just looking at the different offerings he had in this latest module on color grading and the sequence, and Grant really knocked it out of the park. So it's www.youtube.com/user/flame-how-tos, or just search for the Flame Learning Channel. Thank you very much, Grant, for all that you do for the Flame community. All right. It's often said that Flame is different things to different people, and it's also true that we end up gravitating towards the things that we're good at. I primarily use Flame for things like cleanup, beauty, conforms, and traditional 2D compositing. It's rare that I use the lighting and rendering features in action, so when the need arises, I often feel apprehensive because it's something outside of my comfort zone. If you can relate to this, then you are going to absolutely love today's show. My guest today is Abel Milanes, a compositor who works for ILM's Vancouver office. This year, Abel turned in one of the most beautiful one frame of white entries I've ever seen. It was called the Logik Concept Car, and it pushed the notion of modeling, lighting, and rendering in action to a whole new level. Let me bring him on. Abel, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. Thank you for the introduction. How are you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Congratulations. I mean, look, I'm seeing in the chat here, even, our friend Jeff is saying you can totally relate to that. There are so many flame artists who don't explore or don't have a need, or then therefore completely avoid like this aspect of flame. And I'm super excited for you to take everybody through. I've had the pleasure of downloading the setup. I just want to remind everybody that the setup for Abel's entry and a high res, like a ProRes QuickTime, is also available at oneframeofwhite.com if you want to check it out. So, Abel, you want to just take us right in? Maybe give us a little background.
Yeah. Let's go right into it.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Before we dive right in, I should show it to everybody just to remind them. Hold on. Let me do that. You'd think that I prepared this ahead of time. Hold on. Let me play Abel's entry. This is the Logik Concept Car. Just amazing, I'm telling you. And as someone who has struggled to try to get like a realistic looking soda can, or something into a scene using the lighting and rendering tools in action. This was really, really inspiring.
Thank you.
Actually, let me ask you, where'd you come up with the idea? Or maybe that's how we should dive in, right? Let me do that. I'll bring up your screen.
Yeah, the idea. Well, looking at the theme of the contest, the word logic, or the brand logic, and it sounds really kind of like a brand that it shows like something cool, or um, um, uh, I imagine sort of like a cool car with the brand logic in it, and and that's was more or less the beginning of it. I was planning to do more of a drive-by, and something a bit more like in an outside environment. But at the end, I settled up on the video we saw, where we're just featuring the car and sort of like an opening to something that is coming up.
And
Can you hear me?
when I looked at this, and I'm sure everybody thinks the same when they looked at the Logic Concept Car here. It's like, well, first you're just overwhelmed by how beautiful it is, and then you're like, okay, where do you begin? You know, it's probably with like a sketch or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I did a few sketches with the paint tool, and I'm showing here just the ones that I ended up. So the shots ended up looking like this. So these are a few sketches that I did of the kind of look that I was looking for. I also did um, a bunch of like Google sort of like search for reference. And I mean, there is a lot that you can see in Google, but there is a particular image that I think it was put as one of those desktop images that you can download. And the thing that I like about this image is the simplicity of the shapes. And I knew that I was going to be modeling inside plane, and I also knew that I would have to um, do something relatively simple modeling wise. I also knew that I was going to be using IBL, and this was the perfect sort of like example of something that I was looking for. So simple shapes and a very sort of like reflective materials, and an environment that will be sort of like lighting the scene. So once I sort of like settled with that, I started with modeling. So let me just bring up the. Sorry. So I started by using a card set up in a way that I will do the modeling in a symmetrical way. So here, this setup, it's using the replica node to sort of like mirror the work. And what I would do, sorry, the sun just came out, which is going to close this a bit. You cannot see my screen. There you
We've all been there, man.
go. So yeah, I would sort of like start with this, and I would put like um, a simple environment setup. Um, I will talk about more detail later when I talk about the whole IBL sky and all that. But yeah, I would start with this. So basically, this is a surface with the material and a few axis controls, and I would let's see, I would do something like this. can remember how to do this. There you go. So I would kind of like push and pull the shapes to start roughing up the basic shape of the car. And I was looking at the concept artwork that I did to um, sort of like as a guideline to do the shape. So, I mean, what I'm doing here is just an example of how I did it. But after, I would say, a couple of hours of work, um, I ended up with something like this. So this is
It is so cool.
basically,
It is
yeah.
just so cool.
So it's, I mean, if, I keep going with that sort of workflow I was just demonstrating there. This is what it would look like. So it's just one surface with a bunch of like, well, in this case, it's actually more than one surface, but um, it would, I would try to get the basic shape of the car, and it's a futuristic car, so it's a flying car, right? So it's a hovering car. Um, so yeah, kind of like a sports car um, feeling to it. Um, so once I have this basic shape, then I started the 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 real work on shaping the surface. And here you can see that I'm also at the same time sort of playing um, with the way the lighting would be at the end. So I was looking for more of like a golden hour look. And let me try to zoom in here a bit. So once I had all these cards, and these are at this point these are all flat surfaces. Then I will turn them into bicubics and start like pushing and pulling um, the vertices to shape the car. And I would also go ahead and into the orthographic views and uh, uh, adjust the vertices. Um, One of the things that one of my goals was to have like a seamless surface even after the replica node. So the orthographic views will help me like really get into there and zoom in and make sure that the vertices will have the right position and the right tangent adjustment. Um, so keep progressing. I then would realize that um, I could simplify the model by reducing the amount of bicubics and doing more like broad shapes. So here I'm already working on the windshield, the hood, um, and you can see that the shapes are starting to get like fewer and fewer surfaces. Um, then something that I started doing was to adjust tangents to get. And let me actually gain up here a bit to get sharp edges even within one single surface. So again, by adjusting the tangents and getting really those sharp edges that at the same time they have a bit of bevel that will catch
Yeah.
that edge light that it's so nice, right?
It's just a great detail. I mean, again, I've I've manipulated extended by cubics before. I never thought about using the tangents to control. I guess maybe, I don't know if it's refraction or just control the way the rendering happens, so you get that incredible highlight going down the side. Abel, I
Yeah,
don't.
I mean,
I,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say that the way they by cubics work, it's similar to I would say what the NURBS work would be in softwares like Maya or Rhino.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's all about how the tangents sort of like how sharp they are for
Right.
the creases.
Right. 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 There have been a couple of questions I just want to throw at you. John was just asking about the I guess the orthographic views. If you could just cycle through those again. I mean, again, this is something a lot of us who use action but don't use it in 3D have never really even played around with.
Yeah,
But yeah.
so basically, I guess you can do there. You have access to the 3D views here. I'm
Hmm.
just using the shortcuts to cycle to them. But I would let me see if I can. I cannot get the zooming to work. Oh, there you go. So yeah, I will go there and will like really zoom into them and yeah, like start like doing like fine adjustments and especially for the joints or the edges that will be joined with the replica node. So, for example, this would be one of them. And I would also do this looking at the result view in another viewer. And I guess these surfaces when you have an IBL reflection like this, it will show you the defects, right? So, for example, here it's barely visible, but you can kind of see that it's not perfectly sort of like continuous or seamless. So I would see it in a view like this with the reflection on, to be able to see if it's seamless enough, right? It depends on the light angle as well. Like sometimes it's very sort of like
It's
forgiving.
forgiving. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see here there like if I start like if I go ahead into the front view, you can see that that is the edge. So the vertex would have to be closer together,
Hmm.
and then you will like do that kind of stuff, and then you will get a better joint, like a better scene.
Jeff was wondering, is there any kind of snapping that you can do to snap things
I
together, or is it all just done by eye?
I did it by eye. Honestly, if there is a snapping, please tell me, because I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. And you know what? I understand that it's not like a full fledged modeling tool, right? Like if I were to do this for a real job, I would probably do it in another software. But the requirements of the contest said otherwise.
Thank you for following the rules. I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
appreciate it.
So continuing with the modeling, I did more progress on the shapes, and here I started like kept reducing the amount of bicubics, and I also started like playing around with the look of the final look of the car. This was a sexy red sort of like paint color that I liked, but at the end I didn't ended up using it. So then this was also already playing with what I was starting to look at the final camera angles and do the modeling also based on those angles. So looking at the concept art uh, and modeling based on what the camera would see as well. So in this example, um, I already started like refining the edges and keep playing with the tangents, and I will start using something that I did in a few parts, which is doing displacements with the displacement operator inside action to get detail that otherwise I would either won't be able to get after the shape that I was modeling, or I was just too tedious to go back and do remodeling. So in this case, I'm doing let me dive into this. I think that here, this guy
Abel,
here. Yep.
Abel, I'm sorry. Could you also, I think it's control swipe down. I just want to be able to see all the options,
Oh yeah.
all the set. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got super fans here.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want the screen to be as big as possible. I know YouTube can do uh, a job on the on the
Oh
stream.
yeah.
So yeah, so this edge here for this, let me select it again. So you can see that this bicubic, it's actually pretty simple on the edge here, and I use displacement to sort of like take that edge and bend it down and do more of sharp turn on the edge. And let me put the right view here, and then specifically to get this kind of detail, right? Say to get like the light just hitting that edge and creating that highlight that will, I guess, give more complexity to the model. Um, so the displacement, I can go into more detail if we need to, but it's basically a gradient. The gradient tool, it's one of my favorite tools in playing. I use it quite a lot. There's lots of control over what you can do. So in this case, it's just like a fine line on the edge of the texture. And if you consider this like if you look at this in UV space, then that edge will fall right into the edge onto the edge of the bicubic, and then you can adjust the displacement values. Um,
Actually, Abel, before you move on, could you just make an adjustment to the displacement settings just so people can see what that does? Because like I
yeah,
personally have only ever really used displacement to do things like make a flag wave or make something look like it's on the surface of the water or maybe like a credit card or a license plate, like one of those embossing things. I've never ever ever thought about using it to model a surface, especially in extended bicubic where we don't have localized subdivision as like a feature.
exactly. That was the whole idea, and the cause of me using the displacement. So again, that texture will fall right on that edge, and then you can just. Sorry, I'm connecting through a remote machine, so sometimes the keys doesn't really work properly. So yeah, that's you can see what it's doing there, and this will also give me the opportunity to like extend the modeling, right? So if I wanted to do the front more of a like this shape, then you have that fine detail with sliders instead of adjusting the vertices on the surface. Um, and then, I mean, I could also adjust the texture coming in. So if I would, let's see if I can do this properly here. If I would take the gradient and and adjust it, then I could also do that kind of detail, right?
That's great.
So I mean, I could go crazy with this and add a lot of detail to
Yeah.
the to the surface. But
Abel, if you
uh,
if you ever needed proof that, like I said, everybody's looking at all we are super fans here and we're all watching every button. Greg Paul was wondering, on your displacement settings, you have the displacement set to CPU instead of GPU. Were you getting a better result from CPU than you were from GPU?
well, honestly, I don't really know. I think that um, I think I tried it. And also in the midst of like modeling and trying to get something, I didn't pay too much attention to it. So when I saw this, especially when I saw the edge and the highlight that created, I said, okay, that's good. So moving on, right?
Right, exactly.
Probably, I mean, if I would have played with the settings a bit more, I would have probably get something different. But this was good.
Cool.
I think that what I got here in this example here was closer to. Let me zoom in here. Oops. So here I was already settling. Oops, sorry. I guess I have the. There you go. So settling more of the final shape of the car. Also, I started playing with texturing. Started playing with putting the Logik name onto it. Uh, this is um, also doing something that I use in a few times, and this doing detail with bump maps. So here I have a few of these. See if I have a few of these Gmask nodes that I would use as textures. So if you look at this image in UV space, this is where I would need to draw the texture to be able to have it in the right place in um, the car. So in that case, that texture, it's doing the lights, the front lights. Um, so it's doing that little um, bump there to have that sort of like edge detail. And at the same time, the same texture, it's creating this light here, both the actual color of the of the light and the edge. There will be probably little adjustments on the textures here. So you can see that here I'm using the textures as the base color. I'm using as a height, so that's a bump, and I'm also using it as emissives for later on the comp stage. Have them as uh, just having that available to help the comp. Um, yeah, you can see here, and even though they come like as a texture here, and this is in the same place with just some color adjustments, I would then go in the axis node and adjust them to have them in the right place. Um, so I also here already started playing with the final material of the car. Obviously, a PDR material. There is a specific setting here that I tweaked. Let's see, where is this right here? Um, so the thin film setting would give me this sort of like color complexity. So if I turn this off, you can see that the material is a lot more simpler. It's still cool and reflective, but when you do the thin film, it sort of like gives it that iridescent feeling
Little
that
soap
also
bubble.
plays. Yeah, so it also plays along with the IDL that I was using with similar colors. Um,
Abel, before you move on, I got a request here in the chat to see the height map. Can you just adjust the sliders on the height map so we can
yeah,
see what that does?
yeah. So let's see. I think these are the front lights. get a better angle here. Might not be it. Let's see. It is this one. Hold on, let me just hide it. I'll set it to 0. Oh, um, I wonder if.
Whoever,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, whoever would have thought that adjusting the height slider would have been the thing that brought this demo down.
I know, I know. Sorry about this. Yeah,
Abel is operating a Google Cloud based Flame on the other side of the country. And this is the one thing where Flame decided to not cooperate.
I am not sure what's going on here, and again, I might be adjusting the wrong setting. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if I turn this off, the high map just goes. I guess if I let's see if I well, I guess that's something that I'll have to investigate. Um, but yeah, it's something that I use not only for the lights, but also let me see if I have it here. So this surface here, this one here, what is it? Well, I guess what it will be in the door section here. Make sure that there you go, that one. I never liked how smooth it was, or how there was some imperfections that I never liked. So using I think this might be it. So using the high map, I actually and also using the gradient. So I think this is the texture that I come up with. Um, I added that sort of like detail that it would only not
Oh, that's so
look.
cool.
It looks cool. That's what I thought. But also, it's sort of like hide those sort of like surface imperfections that I didn't like. Um, so here, this was also almost like the final look that I was looking for. Again, use textures to draw these lines in the surface. Um, Get adjusting the textures that I would use for the lights. So, for example, here's the front lights. Um, this is the backlight. There you go. So yeah, that this was then ready for camera angles and rendering. Um, I guess I'm missing the front logo here, but I would, depending on the shot, I would like show and hide the things that were necessary for the camera angle. Okay, so lighting. So the lighting was based on IBL, and I have a couple of examples here. So the main aspect of the lighting is that it's all reflections, almost all reflections. So I had to build an IBL texture that I could control to light specific parts of the car, and also do animated sort of like or put movement on those reflections. So gradient tool, my favorite, probably my favorite tool for this project. Um, so I actually started by trying out the textures that the HDRI textures that come with Flame, and I did adjustments and blurs and whatnot, but I didn't really like what I was getting, so I decided to build the reflected environment with the gradient tool. So the idea is to have a lat long map format, have a horizon, and then a sky. The idea was to have sort of like a golden hour sky. I guess the previous examples of the skies that I used in the modeling examples. I'll just go to them. So this is what I first did. So I would put the or use the gradients to draw the different sections of the sky, um, and um, and then I would do stuff like this, for example, which is like just placing uh, almost like light cards around to focus on lighting specific areas, looking
Hmm.
through the camera. Um, so let's go back to this. So in the case of this shot, excuse me, this shot here. So in the case of this shot, um, I would put the IBL texture and would rotate it around. So this is the IBL texture here. Rotate it around to get um, the right angle, or the one that I liked. And on top of that, I would now looking at the dynamic of the cut that I did. I would put animated textures to to have those sharp lines traveling through the surface. So here, this is just so I'll gain up here a bit. So this movement that I see here is just that texture animated in the IDL. So it would look like this. Um, so here's
It's
another
so
example.
great. I mean, for everybody who's ever, turned on a light in action and tried to aim it or something, what you're showing here is that, the programmers, the dev team, they've figured out how to simulate physics. So let that do the work for you. Just put something in the environment and let the code figure out how to do a reflection. It's so
Yeah,
elegant and simple
it's called physically based rendering for a reason, right?
for a
It's
reason, right?
so yeah, that's it is great that you can do this kind of stuff. And I did use lights. I did use lights for a couple of things. First, sometimes the fill side was not enough, so I would put a light there just to put some information in there. um, and the surface is not fully reflective, so there is an amount of diffuse component to it. So it will still catch some light from the light nodes. But also, I did use the light to put tiny glints in certain areas. So in the case of this shot, the IBL wasn't giving me that glint that I was looking for in here. And in this case, this slide is also animated. So if I turn this off, then that goes away, and it doesn't look that interesting anymore. So that light is there, placed in I guess, in the right place for getting that glint, and also
That's so great.
animated to go along in the direction that I wanted. I think if the light wasn't animated, we would just lose it. So I had to move it to be able to go with the shot. Right? Um, so this is basically it for the I would call the CG part of the project.
Abel, but
Um,
before you go into the post processing, one more question, or one question about the lighting. Greg Paul was wondering, did you have to use any negative lights to exclude or restrain light or reflections from sections?
No, that I left to the post process, and I will go through an example, a couple of examples with it. But yeah, that is an interest question because like if I would look at this at the raw result of the action node here, um, and then I would look at the actual final image, you'll see that this is all in the dark, right? So I actually wasn't aware that you can use negative values on a light to I guess, to darken the area. But yeah, that I left for the sort of like the comp stage. Okay, so moving on to the comp stage. So I have probably too many examples here. I
Never.
I I am a compositor, really. That's what I do. Um, this is then what I would have probably the most fun because it's just making the image final, right? So finally the image and make it not only like making the composition and the final sort of like texture of the image or the final look of the image, but also doing like doing optical sort of like adjustments, like to have that more optical feeling that contributes to realism. So in the action node, in the case of this shot here, I would enable a bunch of passes that will help me with the post processing. Um, Many of these passes are just for creating mattes. So let me enable. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so I would use object IDs, position mattes, and depth to create a bunch of matte passes to help with the post processing. And here you can see that I am like combining them, subtracting, adding them to focus on specific areas of the image. Um, I will use them for grading, for example. So here I'm using a position mat to put that shadow under the car. Um, then another, I guess, an object ID mat to grade the floor, and so on. So here, actually, this is an example of using a position mat to darken an area of the car that I didn't want visible. So this position mat here is actually animated, and when you see the final shot, you'll see that the car sort of like gets revealed in this shot, or at least the back of the car. So you can see here that the position mat is animated to um, uh, basically it is just masking the image. So
It is something I always forget about. I always forget about position maps for doing exactly that, for revealing something, kind of in 3D. Such a
mhm.
great use.
Yeah, and then I mean there is a background here. So oops, sorry. Trying to show this. All right. So this background, which is also a bunch of like gradient mats put together, um, I would look at that position mite adjustment, looking at that background. And I sorry, I keep gaining up because it's so dark. These shots are so dark that I just want you to be able to see what's going on.
Oh, sure. I'm
Uh,
glad you do because YouTube will
yeah,
add its own, crunch to it
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So here you can see really what that position mat does when you look at it against the background. Right? Let's just keep going with this. So, oh, this is something that I did. Um, it's not really visible. I'll show it just for um, a curiosity. But I did do a particle system for having sort of like a thruster, sort of like element for the car hovering. The idea was to use it more extensively, but at the end, I just use it subtly in a couple of shots. Um,
Cool.
so this is just adding uh, that that element. Oops. See if I can- Oh, I wonder why. I probably did something wrong there. Oh, there you go. So yeah, it is the element is there, but again, the shot is so dark that you barely see it. Um, One thing that I did quite a bit in the post processing part was to use this node called Airglow. It's a Matchbox shader, and it was the right it was the right glow tool, or actually the only one that I use in the project, because it gives me that sort of like natural exponential fall off of light, especially when you feed an image that has like really bright values. This whole project was done in ACES, and I took advantage of the range that you can get. Um, this is also using the emissive texture to really brighten this up and have like a bit of a glare, sort of like even feeling to the lights. Um, so another example here that I can go through. This one actually, it's it's one of the so if you download the archive, like the project, this is one of the ones that I actually rendered, and I did render a multi layer render, um, just to be able to have a bit more interactivity when I was doing the comp. So again, a bunch of mats. So that's using the emissive. Uh, Here you can see, yeah, so you can see all these mats. Here I'm actually using the output of a normal output. The the blue channel would give me the right phase, sort of like grazing angle matte to do a specific correction that I wanted right here. So this shot, it's very atmospheric, and one of the things that I did was to use well a separate, actually a separate render for just the depth, and a separate output of the background to create that sort of like atmospheric feeling and light wrap on the background. Again, Airglow is my second favorite tool. after gradient.
Airglow is getting so much love right now in the chat. It's great. I never even knew it existed until I saw your project.
Totally, totally. I mean, look at this. So you get the background, you get that misty sort of like feeling or look. Uh, Cut the car out, and then you put another air glow, and you get the light wrap, right? So I mean, this image by itself is like final. uh, yeah, I would use yeah, again, the normals output of the like the blue channel output of the normals pass, more gradient. Um, then here is the background atmospherics. Here I actually use physical defocus. That's probably one of the few times that I used it. Another air glow, and here actually it's more air glow for the light, for the backlight, and then come
Oh,
over.
God, it's gorgeous.
So in this particular shot, I also did some dust motes just flying around. You can kind of like see them if you look close. It's sort of like subtle, but I use another of the PBR, sorry, the matchbed shader to do them. So there is okay now here. So there is a few layers for having them kind of like scatter across depth, and then a blur version of the background to put uh, just color into them, and then just comp over. And yeah, this is the I guess the final shot where I actually did the Logik logo as a separate layer to be able to fade it by itself at the end. Um, yeah, that's the basic of the post processing. I just wanted to mention, looking at this shot here, um, that I also use the it's called the crop defocus node. So here, after doing the all the uh, grading and the mats and the glow, actually in this shot, just to go back to it, I did an animated. I did animate the background in a 2D way, just to fake some parallax. Um, and I did use for the having the depth of field of this shot. I did use crop defocus with a matte. So this matte here kind of like goes this um, traveling across the frame to reveal the right focal point for the lettering. Um, yeah, that's that is basically it. I at the end, because I do this every day. I add some grain that's probably not visible in the YouTube version, but it's there. Thank you.
About absolutely just gorgeous, and I mean the chat is just erupting with praise. Like great stuff. I did have a couple of questions that I wanted to share with you before we go. First, David was wondering how long did it take you to model the car?
The whole project took me about a week and a half if I put all the time together, and I think the modeling was like half of it. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It was probably the most time consuming part of it. Yeah. Sorry, I cannot hear.
Oh, sorry, that was me.
Okay.
Jeff was wondering Was it hard to throw the Logic texture on the front of the car, or I guess even the back, since now we know you were using Replica to create the left and right half, or in your modeling?
Well, it is a separate. It's a separate setup. So the Logic logo, it's not. It's not part of the replica setup. So let me see if I can. So well, I mean, in this case, it's just a separate action setup altogether. But if I look at this, let's see at this here, um, the logo. So this is the car. So the logo is its own separate thing. So this is separate from the replica. The replica node is right here, yeah, right
Gotcha.
here,
Okay.
and then the logo is separate. And I did have to separate each letter individually to be able to bend it to the surface and just place it in there. This is actually a question that I have, but I couldn't find a way of bending the text that way in a more of a in a faster way. I did have to separate each letter and move it like
Oh, okay.
basically.
You want there's a deform node in action that'll allow you
Okay.
to put a lattice around a 3D object and do
Ah,
some deforming.
okay. I should have asked that question in
Well,
the.
next year, I mean, think about it for next year's one frame away.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do.
Cool. Abel, amazing stuff. Again in the chat, we've got Quinn saying brilliant, sweet from Ralph. Congrats from Gabrielle. Brooks, amazing. Michael, that was amazing.
Thank you.
Brilliant from Greg Paul, and on and on and on. Evgeny says amazing. So just thank you so much for this, man. This was a wonderful, not only a wonderful contribution to One Frame of White, but just for coming on and taking us through this and shedding some light on some, well, that pun intended, I guess, but on something that is really a mystery to so many of us. And I can't wait to try this out for myself now. Great job, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Before we head over to the Q&A for our patrons, let's do a little bit of this. I've got everybody's name over here in the Wheel of Fun. The first thing we're going to give away today is a Logic hat. Your choice of hat, of course. And let's see. Let's spin the wheel. You have to be here to win. So if you are here, please give a holler in the chat. And I know Evgeny's here. Congratulations, my friend. Woohoo! Congratulations. Let's spin one more time. This will be for a Logic mug. And sip some hot chocolate. Or maybe some mulled cider on these cold winter days. Todd, are you here? Todd Mesher? I don't think I saw Todd in the chat. I'm going to spin one more time. This is going to be for optics, a 1-year license of optics from our friends at Boris Effects. While we wait and see if Todd was here. Scott Johnson. Scott, are you here? If you're here, stand up and wave your arms. I don't think so. All right, let's go one more time for that mug. I'm feeling good about this. Is Dirk here? Randy, I think we might have to, you know what we're going to do? I think we're just going to end up giving these away to the people that won. So a mug is going to go to Dirk, and it's also going to go to Todd. And the license of optics is going to go to whoever won it. I forget already. I have it in there so we can save it. So let's close this thing out. All right, everybody, let me show you what's coming up next time on A Logic Live. Oh, that was Mark Wellington. Congratulations, man. It's coming your way. Coming up next week on Logic Live, we're going to have a presentation from Rufus Blackwell. Rufus is based in Vietnam. He posted something on the forum late last year. It was like a first-person drone, like single shot, seamless transition. It was wild. So he's going to come on next week at a special time, 12 p.m. Eastern, and take us through that amazing project. Sunday, January 30th will mark the return of Brian Bailey to Logic Live. February 6th, Adam Taylor is going to come on and show off his One Frame of White. And then on February 13th, our friend and yours, David Kreitz, is going to take us through one of his installation projects. So we're looking forward to some great Logic Lives here in the next month. If you haven't signed up for the forum, please do. And please join the conversation on Discord as well. This episode of Logic Live, like all others, will be available on the website later today. I'm going to have a new Logic podcast dropping on Tuesday. This is going to be an interview with our friend Brooks Tomlinson, fresh off his amazing Logic Live last week. So keep an eye out for that on your podcatching app of choice. Randy, 1.25 thousand subscribers. That's almost 1,250 on the YouTube channel. We are getting really, really, really close to Joel Osis. That, of course, is our stated goal. Thank you to all of our Patreon patrons. If you'd like to support what we're doing for as little as $5 a month, just sign up at patreon.com/LogicTV. And for 2 weeks in a row, Randy, I forgot to remove the holiday sale title on the merch store, but please head over to the merch store when you have a chance. And if you do have anything in the way of tech support problems, give a call over to Jack Horrocks, jack@flametech.com.au for all of your flame needs. If you need anything from Boris Effects, be sure to use the Logic-15 checkout discount code at checkout. Save yourself 15%. Thank you to AJA, and thank you, Synesys, for sponsoring Logic Live. That's going to do it for this week, everybody. We are heading over to the Patrons Q&A. Thank you, Abel. Thank you, everybody in the chat, and we will see you next time.